The numbers are staggering. Around 31% of juvenile girls are married off in Assam. 40% of these cases emerge from lower Assam. The police have been asked to act with urgency and as per law.
3 days back we decided to register cases on those cases. 4,074 cases were registered, and during the last 48 hours we have arrested about 2,200 people in this connection, of which 52 persons are those who are solemnizing such weddings, basically qazis and priests and similar kind.
On the other hand, AIMIM Chief Owaisi waded in the issue and questioned the crackdown by Assam government.
देखिए, जो शादी हो चुकी है उस लड़की का क्या करेंगे अब आप? क्या करेंगे लड़की को आप? कौन देखभाल करेगा उसका? चाहे किसी समुदाय के हो, कौन देखभाल करे? 6 साल से तो आपकी सरकार है ना. आप 4,000 केसेस बुक कर लिए, अभी और 4,000 करने का आप बोल रहे हैं, तो फिर क्या करेंगे? फिर कौन देखेगा उसको? उस बच्चे को कौन देखेगा? और स्कूल क्यों नहीं खोलते आप? नया स्कूल क्यों नहीं खोल रहे आप? नया स्कूल खोलिए. कौन रोक रहा है आपको?
The Assam government is continuing its steadfast effort to eradicate child marriage. CM Himanta Sarma has clearly said that crackdown will continue in the state irrespective of caste and religion. It's time to make sure child marriage only exists in history book. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
So who really is against child marriage? Who's for child marriage? I mean, I think that's the question that I will put to our panel. I do see Pramod Swamiji is a spokesperson of the Assam BJP with us, along with Brinda Adige. Tanvi Pruthi also on our screens, and I think Syed Asad Abbas will also just join us in a bit on the broadcast. Tanvi, I first want to understand your position before I open this up with Brinda and with Pramodji and Syed, and also Atikur Rahman. Good evening to all of you. So, if Tanvi, you can come in first. Are you for child marriages or are you against child marriages? And would you welcome what Himanta Biswa Sarma is doing in Assam?
I am completely against child marriages, but I am also against the PR exercises that BJP chief ministers undertake to cover up their lawlessness, to cover up, why lawlessness has increased under their tenure as chief minister of their respective states. In this case, you have Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma of Assam. Okay. My friend, justice is not Maggie which can be served in 2 minutes. The kids who are victims of child marriage, their lives have already been ruined by marrying them off at such an early stage by the society, by their families, whatever you want to say. Now they will go through this legal process of, seeing their loved ones being arrested or, this entire process. These kids and the families, they need counseling, they need rehabilitation and not a jail term. And the true test of CM's PR strategy will be if these charge sheets will be accepted by the courts during the trial. So you can just file FIRs all you want, but you can't just, you have to prove it in a court of law what you are doing. And this entire menace of child marriage cannot be eradicated in 15 days by filing 4,000 FIRs or by filing 6,000 FIRs. What about the...
So we should not fight it at all. Tanvi? Tanvi, that's how I understand your position. Obviously, because you might have an axe to grind with the BJP. So the point is, children can be collateral damage. This is the problem, Brinda, that when you talk about children, you consider them as vote bank. Tanvi, you will be questioned, because I do recall that you've been present on Republic on a number of other debates, along with Brinda and Syed, and you've been screaming for women empowerment, for God's sake. Do you know the rate of child marriages in Assam? Do you know that, Tanvi? I don't think you do. Because it's only fashionable to play politics with everything. All right. Atikur Rahman, where do you stand on this? Would you want to enlighten your dear friend Tanvi, or you believe that child marriages have to be fought, period?
Child marriages are a menace and we should uproot them. But is this the way? Tell me. You cannot penalize the parents who are already under so much of trauma. We do not, the government of Assam or any government for that matter, are you really preparing the grounds, the society for the security of the girl child? That, under trauma, no parents will ever like their their children, their girl child to be getting married earlier. But this is not the way to correct. The correct way is to create good schools and a congenial atmosphere down in the society. Penalizing, and who is penalizing? The Assam Chief Minister, is an Islamophobic person. He dislikes Islam, he dislikes Muslims. How can you forget this element, this fact?
Now see, Atikur
creating
Rahman, you're
feelings
sounding
on the
much like Asuddin Owaisi. And the point is, gentlemen, before you sit here on national television and make some personal innuendos, we must be very clear, Atikur Rahman. Like I said, this is about the future of our children. Do you know how many girls lose their lives when they get pregnant? It's not just a risk for the mother who's pretty young, as young as 14, 15, 16 years, Atikur Rahman, but even the child. I mean, I'm surprised, but before I think I get Pramodji and Brinda to come in, Syed, why don't you also tell us and, whether you are with Himanta Biswa Sarma on this good fight, because it's a good fight. Ultimately, to ensure that child marriages as a menace, Syed Asad Abbas, is wiped out. And I think other states must follow suit.
Let me firstly tell you categorically state on Republic TV that I'm certainly against child marriages. Also, as a matter of fact, let me tell you, Deepthi and the viewers of Republic, the Child Marriage Act exists since 1929. There have been various amendments to it, and the last Child Marriage Act amendment was made in the year 2006. In the last 6 years, mind you, 6 years, thousands and several child marriages have taken place in Assam, and BJP government is in power. What did they do about it? Why didn't they prevent it then? Why didn't they educate people? Why didn't they do something about rehabilitating them? Then making a 2,000 people
So why
arrest
do
now?
you think Himanta Biswa Sarma has launched this crackdown now?
Allow me to finish my point, ma'am.
Let
Allow me
me
to finish
help
my
you,
point.
streamline your
Allow me
argument.
to
Why do you
finish
think this
my
is
point.
happening
No.
now? You're
I
questioning the
was
timing. The
arguing,
point is, in a good fight,
allow me to
they
finish
say
my
whenever you
point,
wake
ma'am.
up, you must just begin the good fight.
Allow me to
Syed,
allow me to
tell
finish
me
my
something.
point.
Why do
Allow
you
me.
believe this is
30
happening?
seconds.
Who's being targeted?
Okay. All right. Now I will tell you why this is happening. Ma'am, it might be fashionable for you to support the BJP, but are you going to run those 2,000 families? Are you going to run those 2,000 families? This child marriage does not take place in your house or my house. It takes place in the low strata of society. All these 2,000 people arrested are from the low strata of society who are daily wage earners, laborers. Who will run their family? I'm against child marriages, reinforced. But what provision has the BJP made for them? A mere 1,000 rupees a month, a 5 kg of rice? You want those people to die without medical supplies? A 17-year-old was done a marriage at the age of 17. She's now 19-year-old. She has a 5-month pregnant. Who will take care of her?
Syed, one
Tell me who will
second.
take
One
care of
second.
her?
I see your bleeding hearts, and it's rather fashionable. It's rather fashionable. I will use your same lingo with your permission to, not put out the data, because around 31% of juvenile girls are married off in Assam. The national average, Syed Asad Abbas, Atikur Rahman and Tanvi, listen very carefully, is 23.3%. It is fashionable not to tell viewers that the child marriages in Assam are over 7% over the national average. And it is also fashionable to hide the data that places like Dhubri has a 50%, Syed Asad Abbas, 50% incidence of child marriage. But I should get Pramod
Deepthi,
Swamiji,
now-
because there is a lot of criticism of the way this is being handled. Syed, be patient now. It is fashionable to be patient, please. Now, Pramod Swamiji, tell me something.
Here. I'm not come to do.
No
a
one is
fashion
questioning
statement,
your
ma'am.
intention. Everyone
So you
says
can be
we are against
fashionable.
child
I
marriage.
don't want to be.
But would you want to respond to criticism that is coming in from the opposition who say you're targeting minorities? And आप जिस तरीके से ये सब कर रहे हैं उसको लेकर बहुत सारे लोग सवाल उठा रहे हैं कि क्या आप जल्दबाजी में ये कदम उठा रहे हैं, प्रमोद जी?
नहीं, देखिए, अभी आपने स्वयं इस बात को स्वीकार किया कि आसाम में जो चाइल्ड जो मैरिज है वो उसके जो 18 इयर्स जो बिलो जो मैरिज जो चाइल्डों की जाती है वो 31% है, जबकि नेशन की जो पूरे भारत की जो एवरेज है वो 23% है। और जो धुबड़ी जो इलाका है वहाँ जो है सबसे अधिक जो बाल विवाह है, जो चाइल्ड मैरिज है वो 50% से ज्यादा वहां की जाती है। अब यहाँ सवाल उठता है कि क्या देश में एक बाल विवाह के विरुद्ध में जो एक सामाजिक कुरीति है, क्या उसके विरुद्ध में जो देश में एक कानून बना हुआ है 1929 से जो कानून बना हुआ है 2006 में जिसका अमेंडमेंट हुआ, क्या उस कानून का सख्ती से पालन होना चाहिए या नहीं होना चाहिए? बहस का मुद्दा ये है। अब दूसरी बात, अगर अगर देश में कानून है और उस कानून को हम इंप्लीमेंट करने जाते हैं तो लोग मानव अधिकार की बात करते हैं। अगर देश में नागरिकता प्रमाण पत्र मांगा जाता है तो बोलते हैं हम कागज नहीं दिखाएंगे। तो अगर कानून को अगर आप नहीं मानेंगे, जो लॉ ऑफ द लैंड है, लॉ ऑफ द लैंड तो आपको मानना पड़ेगा ना। तो लॉ ऑफ द लैंड का अगर कोई वायलेशन करता है और उसके लिए देश में कानून बना हुआ है और उस कानून को अगर कोई सरकार अगर इंप्लीमेंट करती है तो फिर आप मानवाधिकार के प्रश्न उठाने लग जाते हैं। तो ठीक है, मानवाधिकार का हम भी समर्थन करते हैं, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं तो हमको एक लकीर खींचनी पड़ेगी। और अगर आज अगर हम देश में मैटरनल मोर्टेलिटी है, इन्फेंट मोर्टेलिटी है, जो आज 14 बरस की उम्र में बच्चियों का ब्याह कर दिया जाता है, और अब तो ये तो 18 बरस का देश में कानून है, लेकिन 14 से जो 18 बरस की उम्र है उसके लिए हम लोग ने जो चाइल्ड मैरिज एक्ट के तहत उनको अरेस्ट किया गया है, और बिलो जो 14 बरस जो है उनको नॉन वेलेबल सेक्शन के तहत अरेस्ट किया गया है। 14 से जो 18 बरस के जो लोगों को अरेस्ट किया गया है वो वेलेबल सेक्शन के तहत है। और इसमें भी मैं एक जानकारी दे दूं कि ये जो अरेस्ट जो किए गए हैं वो 2020, 21 और 22 के जो डेटा है उसके आधार पर जो इनपुट मिले हैं, जो लोकल लोगों से इनपुट मिले हैं, जो वहाँ जो चाइल्ड वेलफेयर सोसाइटी से इनपुट मिले हैं, जो उनके फैमिली मेंबर से जो इनपुट मिले हैं, उनके आधार पर पुलिस को जो इनपुट मिले हैं उनके आधार पर
ठीक है। तो प्रमोद जी का ये कहना है सैयद असद अब्बास कि दिस इज well researched because the government has spent a considerable amount of time trying to figure out data and realizing where they need to step in. I know Brinda hasn't spoken, but Brinda, I'm just going to come back to you in 30 seconds. Syed, you were wanting to counter what Pramod ji is saying?
Yes. Deepti, quickly coming to, I was with Mr. Pramod in a previous channel and I questioned him there. He did not answer me. So I questioned him yet again on Republic TV, India's largest network. Respected sir, आप पिछले 6 साल से हैं। आप चाहे तो 2000 allow me दीप्ति, प्लीज allow me 30 सेकंड दीप्ति। आप 2020 के बारे में बात करें, 2021, 2022, मैं मानता हूं आपकी बात को। मैं समझता हूं कि ये सभी जो केसेस है बिल्कुल सही हैं, बट जनाब पिछले 6 साल से जो केसेस हुए थे, over the last 6 years you have been in power. If you wanted to, you could have prevented the child marriages, sir, not bulldoze with and implement arresting 2000 people. पिछले 6 साल आप क्या कर रहे थे? मक्खियां मार रहे थे क्या? तब क्यों नहीं रोका आपने बीजेपी ने? तब क्यों नहीं रोका आपके मुख्यमंत्री ने?
एक सेकंड, क्योंकि आपने ये सवाल उठाया है सैयद, आपने सवाल उठाया, प्रमोद जी इसका जवाब देंगे फटाफट सर, 30 सेकंड से, देन आई हैव टू गो टू बृंदा।
मैं सिर्फ यही जानना चाहता हूं कि जो विद्वान व्यक्ति बोल रहे हैं, क्या आप महिला एम्पावरमेंट के ऊपर में विश्वास करते हैं क्या नहीं करते हैं? क्या ये कानून सही है या नहीं, इस पे आप बहस कर रहे हैं, लेकिन क्या इस तरह से 14 बरस की और 18 बरस की कम बच्चियों की शादी कर देनी चाहिए? ये मूल प्रश्न है। और आपने सवाल उठाया कि हमारी सरकार क्या कर रही है, आपने ये सवाल उठाया, तो मैं आपको कहना चाहता हूँ कि सरकार ने एक कदम उठाया है, चाहे देर से उठाया है, आपको उसका समर्थन करना चाहिए। आप उसकी कहीं भी प्रश्न उठा रहे हैं, अगर कहीं ना कहीं हमें शुरुआत करनी पड़ेगी ना,
ये हमें नहीं
शुरुआत करनी पड़ेगी। तो शुरुआत अगर अच्छी शुरुआत हो रही है तो उसका स्वागत करिए। और आप अगर चाइल्ड मैरिज के पक्ष में हैं तो आप उसका समर्थन करिए।
People into poverty, you want to hit the low strata of the society, you want to push 2000 people into
यहाँ पॉवर्टी का विषय नहीं है, आज की जो डिबेट है वो चाइल्ड मैरिज के ऊपर में हो रही है।
Syed, because you use that word, I have to intervene. Syed, what is your agenda? People are asking, what is your agenda? Is it vote bank politics? Pramod ji, I'm going to come back to you. Brinda, thank you for your patience. How do you summarize, Brinda, because you're totally non-political. We have spoken on Republic tons of times about women empowerment, about netas, not walking the talk. When you have a chief minister who's trying to walk the talk and saying, listen, child marriages in my state should absolutely not happen. Is there any ground that netas, political parties, so-called political analysts should be allowed to play politics, Brinda?
I don't think anybody must be allowed to play any kind of politics, because what we are talking about over here are children's lives, their physical lives, their mental lives, their sociological lives, lives in general. Now, somebody asked, who's going to feed these children? Now, as per law, it is the boys' party that has to feed the children. Now, we want to go and ask another question. Abbas was asking, what were you all doing for 6 years? Now, my question is, all those people who solemnize these marriages, what are they doing and what are they doing to date? Do they not have information that child marriage is prohibited? Do they not know that what they are committing is a crime? How can you talk about poverty? So if you are poor, it is okay to marry off the child to somebody who is older to that child and say that now the child can be raped by this person because the child can't fight in a marriage. We are a patriarchal society. Let us remember that. And this patriarchal society has even more patriarchal structures. So everybody has put together, the child has no voice. Who's the child going to ask and say anything? Will the child fight against the parents? Will the child fight against the relatives? Will the child fight against the priest, the qazi? Who will the child fight against? Nobody. You did not ask the choice of the child. For that matter, there is no consent over here of the child. Today, we want to counsel these people, because we know under the Child Marriage Act, all of these cases are going to fall. But there should be the fear of law for every adult who has indulged and thinks that indulging in this, they can get away. They must now know they cannot get away. Period. Okay, counseling must happen, and nobody should blame the children, especially the girls. And those girls must be given all the support possible. If some of the girls want to move out of these marriages, then so be it. Do not put our patriarchal norms to say, who else will marry you now?
What's unfortunate is no one is talking about those girls. No one is talking about those girls today. Tanvi, do you have any response to those very important questions Brinda has raised?
That's what exactly I said. Brindaji has done some excellent work in this field and I completely respect her. But ma'am, what I'm trying to say here is that this should not be a PR exercise for the Chief Minister. Where is the rehabilitation process for these young girls? What will happen with their lives thereafter? The state has to take care of it. And so far, all I can see is, there's the Chief Minister doing an agenda over this issue. That should not be the case. I want to know what is in plan for these girls, and then of course I'll support the movement as it is.
Absolutely. If the Chief Minister has taken it first to file the FIR.
Brinda, before you respond, what is worrisome is the use of word agenda. Syed Asad Abbas and Tanvi both have used the word agenda. So I think we should be very careful of the kind of words that, you're listening in from those, Brinda, who are opposing this move. Now, this is a PR exercise, says who? How do we know, Tanvi, that there is no rehabilitation program for, the children and for the girls? Do you have any answer? Or you believe it's nice to fearmonger, it's fashionable in Syed Asad Abbas's word, to just hit out at a BJP-ruled, state and its chief minister? Why? Because you can't agree with him, no? Syed Asad Abbas, you obviously cannot agree with him. So you will have to kind of say something for the sake of opposition.
Okay, I'll answer that. Yes, of course, Deepthi, I certainly cannot agree with BJP, and you can definitely agree with BJP, I'm sure. It's also fashionable to be a Godi media anchor too, nevertheless.
The story is not about me.
Brinda,
Syed, that's the problem.
Allow me to respond.
You will speak about everything.
Allow me to
much like you,
respond.
opposition does not change. We are against child marriages, period.
Respond.
It's happening in Rajasthan, it should stop there. It's happening in Assam, it should stop there. So jolly well keep your politics out of this, Syed Asad Abbas. The next time you join us on a debate, on a show of women empowerment, you'll be the first one screaming your lungs out on women
not
empowerment.
At all. Allow me to answer
but
you.
Don't be convenient when it comes to you.
Brindaji, allow me to answer Brindaji. Brindaji is certainly right about, bringing about rehabilitation. But Brindaji also mentioned that onus of provision lies on the boys' party to feed them. But respected ma'am, if the boy is jailed, he's behind bars.
Pehle to the issue is child marriage, no. Syed Asad Abbas, the issue is child marriage. Child marriages will have to be stopped. They have to be stopped. You cannot say that until and unless you have a proper rehabilitation and unless and until you give them thousands of rupees You cannot
30
stop
seconds,
child
allow me to
marriages.
answer.
You have to
Allow me
have a
to 30
multi-pronged
seconds.
approach.
Okay.
Why
Okay,
don't you speak
this
about all the
2000
issues at
arrests
hand?
won't have happened. These 2000 arrests won't have happened if in the last 6 years BJP did their job of stopping these child marriages. Why didn't they stop? These 2000
Okay.
arrests won't
What
have
were the
happened.
priests
BJP
doing?
failed.
6 years,
Are the
they
priests
stopped these
illiterate?
marriages.
The
Are the
BJP
priests
failed.
illiterate?
The BJP failed.
Are the Qazis
Pramodji will
illiterate?
respond to that. But my point is, this is also a BJP, Syed Asad Abbas, though you do not like to hear it, that learns from its mistakes. Rajasthan
its
right
mistakes.
now tops when it comes to the issues of child marriages. Atikur
It's-
Rahman,
See,
has the Rajasthan government done anything? Do they even care?
Deepthi, with full respect to Brinda, you said that the people should be having a fear for law. I am for people should be having the respect for law. And the respect will come when the reforms are from within the society, from down the pyramid, not from the top of the pyramid. I am having a question that does the government really care for the children? If yes, then there should be good schooling and the counseling for the parents before penalizing them. If you are penalizing the parents, you are penalizing the other family members. And this has been established in all the other, courts in the judiciary. When they find that penalizing the parents will be affecting the entire larger family, they will be having a very, 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 very good eye towards the law. It's not the question that nobody is supporting here, Brinda. On our panel, we all are saying child marriages are a menace. But is this the way to penalize the parents?
Yeah, but
correct
because the
this?
BJP rule,
This is a
state
very,
is
very
doing this.
negative
We
approach.
have
Sir,
a problem.
would you
Brinda,
want to
quickly,
place
I just
the
have 10 seconds to you and then I'll give the
10
last
seconds,
word to
10 seconds.
Pramodji.
The
Sir,
child
quickly.
you are-
minister is a
Yes, yes.
Let me speak, sir. Sir, you're placing the
Arey
entire
Baba, this
onus
is not
on the government.
anti-Islam. This is
You
only
need
for
to
children.
understand that
Atikur
there is
Rahman, this is
very
the
deep
problem.
social
When you bring in
sanctions.
faith here, it's about the future of our children, Brinda. Tell
You're
them this,
absolutely
please.
right. Yes, we have to hold the government responsible and accountable, but you cannot place all the onus on the government itself. What were all these priests and qazis doing? Should we not hold them accountable? Should they not be telling them
Yes.
that this is against the law? We will not allow you. If you have a
Counsel
problem
them.
with
Brinda,
school, one
counsel
minute, sir.
them.
No. Take
Build a
responsibility.
congenial atmosphere. Brinda, build a congenial atmosphere down the pyramid.
At the cost
Nobody
of the children.
is asking for continuance of this child marriage menace.
At the cost of
The
the
parents should be
children.
counseled. There should be a reform from within the society.
Absolutely.
Why are you penalizing? Just at the drop of the hat, you are arresting the parents. Is this the correct solution? You are
We
affecting
want
the
to-
entire families of 2,000 families, for God's
Okay,
sake.
I
So
have
nobody
to give
is
the last
afraid.
word to
Nobody
Pramodji.
is afraid
Pramodji,
of
just
child
10 more
marriage.
seconds
Anybody
to you.
afraid of child marriage
but
in
why
India?
is it that still a lot of people are not convinced and they see vote bank politics here, Pramodji? कैसे defend करेंगे अपने आप?
मैं बता रहा हूं अभी यहाँ इस पे बहुत अच्छी चर्चा हुई कई विद्वानों ने कहा कि कानून बनाया जाना चाहिए लेकिन जब भी कानून बनाया जाता है जैसे कि यहाँ कुछ हमारे मुस्लिम इंटेलेक्चुअल्स भी बैठे हुए हैं वो भी बहुत सी बातें उन्होंने रखी है लेकिन जब महिलाओं के स्वाभिमान के खिलवाड़ किया जाता है और तलाक बोल करके उनको तलाक दे दिया जाता है और सरकार कानून लेकर के आती है तो यही वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट की बात करने वाले उसकी गलत व्याख्या करना चालू कर देते हैं आज जब चाइल्ड मैरिज एक्ट के तहत जो कानून है उसके तहत अगर सरकार कार्रवाई कर रही है तो आप उसको एक जाति धर्म और भाषा के साथ जो मजहब के साथ जोड़ करके देखना चाहते हैं तन्वी जी ने कहा एक मिनट तन्वी जी ने
We've
कहा कि
completely run out of time. We've completely run out of time, Pramodji, Atikur Rahman. But the point is, we follow the constitution in the country. There are laws. The laws are uniform. They better be uniform. Child marriage is a menace, is what we all agree. We should keep politics out of this because this is only about the future of our children. This is a very, very interesting and an important debate. Only for what of time. I'm thanking Brinda, Tanvi, and all gentlemen right now. Back on the other side with lots more.
Everything we know, everything we love, might well be at risk. The time for action is now. Together, we can be champions for the earth.
Friends, the recent suicide attack in Peshawar, inside a mosque, in the police lines, has set the tongues wagging. There are various conspiracy theories, and yet there is the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa police, the police of Peshawar, which has come out on the roads. They're saying that this terror act was not done by any terror organization. They say that this was done by one of our own.
While growing up, who did you look up to? Who was your idol?
Dalip Kumar.
And you were fortunate enough to work with him as well.
I was wanting to work with him. This was my dream to work with him. And I was very fortunate when I was offered Dastan, the first film with him. And I used to be sitting there and watching him. He was so good and a great actor, but he was a greater human being as well.
क्यों जरूरत पड़ी देश को राष्ट्र राइफल्स जैसी फोर्स रेज करने? किसका आइडिया था? क्यों जरूरत पड़ी सर? There was a necessity to have a force. Our army was considered as not.
The Assam government launches a huge crackdown mission against child marriages. More than 2,000 are arrested across the state. The Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister, in an exclusive interview to Republic, is alleging a larger global conspiracy at play against India.
You're famous for your dialogues. I'm sure everybody who's seen your films remember the dialogues that you've given us.
I was already established as a star in my way. So Azad Saab told me, I want you in this film. And then he said, it is only a special appearance. I was little bit of conscious of it. ये ना हो कि कल मैं आपकी picture में guest appearance करूँ, वो भी मुझे कहें तो guest appearance. He says, no, I don't want to know that. You're doing the picture. प्रेम नाम है मेरा, प्रेम चोपड़ा.
विक्टर फोर्स, डेल्टा फोर्स, यूनिफॉर्म फोर्स, इनके नाम के पीछे क्या है सर? 6 months I went to chief's office one day. The force headquarters have been sanctioned and we have to give the names. Think of the names today and tomorrow we want the name. I said, sir, जो वैली में है, call it Victor Force. कश्मीर में है, call it Kilo Force. He said, Alpha Bravo Charlie जानता है. मैं कहा सर, this is all that I can think of the time that you have given me.
While growing up, who did you look up to? Who was your idol?
Dalip Kumar.
And you were fortunate enough to work with him as well.
I was wanting to work with him. This was my dream to work with him. And I was very fortunate when I was offered.
Trending burning question.
Thank you for joining us on the Trending Burning Question. Amid a raging controversy over a meltdown in the Adani Group stocks, regulator SEBI, which many political parties, many groups, many individuals were asking whether it was being silent for a particular reason. Regulator SEBI today has said it is committed to ensuring the stock market's integrity and all necessary surveillance measures are in place to address any excessive volatility in individual shares. Without naming the Adani Group specifically, the capital markets watchdog has said in a statement today, in fact it came in a little after 3 p.m. this afternoon, that the unusual price movement in the stocks of a business conglomerate, they haven't named Adani, but it's clear they are mentioning Adani, referring to a business conglomerate stocks that have crashed, claiming that they've been observing what's been happening in the last week. But they have also said that the statement has been issued in the wake of what has been happening in the markets, and that they have a mechanism in place which has already kicked in, hinting at a review which is already on. Last night, Republic TV broke that the Corporate Affairs Ministry is also looking at the Adani documents. In the next few minutes, we look at what's been happening, what the regulators are saying, what the banks are saying, and what political parties are saying, and whether that question of hit job that many people are speaking of, the question of a conspiracy that, which even the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister spoke of, is there more to that, or is it just a theory? Here are the updates and then the trending burning question.
यूपी की छवि को या देश की छवि को या देश के नेतृत्व पर छिटाकशी करने की एक आदत दुनिया के कुछ लोगों ने प्रारंभ की है।
अब बहुत बड़ी बात कह रहे हैं।
बीबीसी की डॉक्यूमेंट्री उसका एक उदाहरण है।
मेरा अगला सवाल।
ठीक इसी प्रकार से अन्य तमाम उस पर आपने देखा होगा एक शरारत के तहत भारत की छवि को डेंट करने के लिए कुछ ऐसी साजिशें होती रही हैं, होंगी, जिसके बारे में पूरे भारतवासियों को अलर्ट रहना होगा।
बाबा बहुत बड़ा इंडिकेशन दे रहे हैं।
इसलिए अभी कोई भी बयानबाजी इन सब पर जल्दीबाजी होगी, लेकिन मेरा मानना है इलेक्शन नजदीक होने के नाते लोकसभा चुनाव के पहले दुनिया के अंदर से जो लोग भारत को बढ़ती हुई ताकत के रूप में स्थापित नहीं देखना चाहते, वे लोग कुछ न कुछ ऐसा करने का प्रयास कर सकते हैं। एक शरारत के तहत
This is Uttar Pradesh's Chief Minister echoing the question that Republic has been asking.
If you look at a benchmarking there, you will find that the Nifty and the Sensex have been far outperforming the Hang Seng and the Shanghai markets and the best performing markets in Asia, which means in Asia, India is number one, China is number two. China is not used to being number two, but China is now consistently in all growth parameters always at number two. So China is getting desperate. It's not used to this situation for more than 30 years. China is desperate to stop India, viewers.
Senior voices have spoken out on this.
This is showing that BBC is completely financially interlocked with China, with the Chinese state, through Chinese state-owned companies like Huawei and all that. But the idea is that, to show that the documentary, basically, is no more than a Chinese-inspired initiative.
Questions are being raised on the timing of the controversies.
Only after India has assumed the presidency of G20 and why this kind of thing is coming. But now India is being viewed as leader of the world. Therefore, they are feeling upset. They had predicted that India will fall into pieces.
The one who benefits most from Adani to BBC controversy is China. With multiple voices raising questions, can the global conspiracy and a China angle be denied anymore?
It will be the regulators who will do their job. You've had the Reserve Bank comment on it yesterday. And prior to that, not regulators, but the banks and the LIC have themselves come out to say what their level of exposure is. So the regulators will do their job. And regulators are independent of the government.
Bureau Report, Republic TV.
So the system seems to be confident, but the markets are not for some reason. But let me introduce PKD Nambiar, political analyst, Rajat Sethi, economic analyst, also a political analyst, and Karthik Reddy, spokesperson of the BRS. Let me start with Karthik. Karthik, you heard what Yogi Adityanath said. You also heard what the finance minister said there. Everyone's confident that all is well. Why is the opposition seeing red?
Hello, Niranjan. I heard the Honorable Finance Minister just speak. It kind of brought a chuckle to my face. When she said the agencies are all independent in this country. And we all know for the last 8 years what's up with the agencies and what's happening. Coming to the point, Niranjan, when Nirmala Sitharamanji said the regulators will do their job, I honestly have to tell you that the regulators have become irregulators in this country, especially SEBI. Now the nation needs to understand, especially people who are sitting in high-ups, who have to take decisions, the reputation of the regulators itself is at stake. When I said the regulators have become irregulators, Niranjan, we have to understand the allegations leveled against Adani are not small. And Adani is not some small company. You know, the investments are PSU banks, are LICs, and also millions and millions of our investors have made. And there are lakhs and lakhs of people who are working for that company. So the allegations made against Adani that he committed grave fraud, he has committed money laundering, the Adani group has committed stock buffing, they have misquoted their profits, they have done black money routing. So it is the job of the regulators to launch an investigation. And this is honestly, Niranjan, there are certain facts that we have to discuss. The fact number one, it is true that the Adani Group's value has been halved in the last fortnight. It is true that Adani Group's stocks are facing trouble in S&P and Dow markets. It is true that Adani has bonds have been rejected in by many financial institutions, national and international. It is also true that Adani has not challenged the Hindenburg report yet in any valid courts. So what is stopping SEBI, the regulator, from coming in right now and launching an independent investigation?
They've already done that, I think, Karthik. Karthik, I think they've already done that. If you've gone through the detailed statement that we showed, I just want to tell you, have you seen the statement, today's statement? They say there is already a mechanism in place about the surveillance measures which kicked in 2 days ago, if I'm not wrong. Let me get in, Rajat, I'll come back to you. Let me go across to Rajat.
Let's do that.
Yeah, but Rajat, last night we heard that the Corporate Affairs Ministry was already looking into the documents. RBI gave a statement yesterday and you know, he asked a few questions. Karthik, what is also true, I'll tell you, Bank of Baroda has just said that they will continue giving loans to Adani. Banking sector is resilient and stable is what the RBI has said. Anand Mahindra is echoing the sentiment of the Indian industry, saying he's seen many ups and downs and, you know, this is absolutely nothing. Storm in a teacup as a finance secretary is what he's trying to echo. Harish Salve is saying nobody is happy that Indian businessmen are making presence felt globally. So he's also talking about perhaps a larger element at play. Adani's ports is well capitalized, able to refinance bonds, attract equity investors is what Goldman Sachs is saying. You mentioned a few agencies. I have a few more agencies. I want to put this on record so that I just want to put all views out there, right? Fitch has said there is no immediate impact on the ratings. They gave out a statement yesterday. Moody's said no significant maturing debt until financial year 2025. So while you try and put your facts out there, there are many big reputed names, agencies globally that are backing Adani in this minute. Raja, does it add up? Is it a coincidence that the same set of people targeting Adani, it's almost like they've been on Mission Adani for last few years and the same set of people have they attack him, they question him, they're going after him, they're tweeting against him, they're all pushing this sort of exercise. Is it a coincidence?
Well, what do I even say? Look at parties like Congress Party. They make a statement. It goes in Hindi that "Sab tabah ho gaya." It seems like Adani is no longer the 21st richest man in the world, but he has come under below poverty line, and everything has evaporated in thin air. So please don't give that impression. Even if he is at the 21st number or 210 number, it doesn't matter. What matters is the fundamentals and how international politics plays. We all can't be so naive that India's pole position when it comes to having a strong leadership, a robust growth story, and everything falling in place for our country would not be irking a lot of other anti-India forces around the world. There will be a lot of them, and international politics, as I said, works behind the curtains. Very little is said and talked about it, but a lot goes around it. We all see that how pick up Colombo Port, where Adani is also owning one of the terminals of the Colombo Port. Right opposite that terminal is the Chinese terminal. And China was hell-bent that Adani's and India should not have an influence in the Colombo Port. And so much amount of mudslinging was done on India and on Adani Group. It was all out in the open. Was it just by sheer chance that their CERC, their Central Electricity Regulator, came out and made some statements and later retracted? No. Look at Dow Jones. I mean, my friend from BRS was mentioning Dow Jones and the sustainability index. Adani Group was removed from the sustainability index. Now, let me tell you one point of data, that Adani Green is the world's biggest green power producer. An Indian company, who could have imagined climate change is a $1 trillion opportunity? All the big economists say that. And here is one Indian company which is number one in terms of generating green power. And they are on course to generating green hydrogen and take pole position in generating green hydrogen. And all of these mafias, Dow Sustainability Index removes the biggest green power generating hub. What is the credibility of that index is my question. What do they stand to gain other than some shabby level, maneuvering and tinkering and trying to do politics at an international level? This is what I fail to understand, that certain dots don't connect. There are clearly certain answers which our investigating agencies can provide, not the politicians. Politicians would only look for a fishing expedition. They desperately need a black swan event before the 2024 elections, and all the fishing expedition is centered around that, and nothing more than that.
Yeah, it looks like that, because the opposition was asking questions of the LIC, for example, and the SBI, for example, on their exposure, how much of exposure. They were saying the nation wants to know how much of exposure the LIC and the SBI has. And let me tell you, PKD, SBI chairman, has gone on to speak about, we know the numbers are out there, right? Less than 1%, 0.97 and 0.9. But both of them are pretty happy, convenient. They're comfortable. The LIC CEO saying he's positive on the Adani stocks, right? What the opposition is saying, right, it may be creating this sort of insecurity in the minds of investors. But when you look at the numbers, it doesn't really add up, does it?
Well, I think I would like to begin from where whatever Rajat has said. He was talking about international politics, international conspiracy, or whatever it may be. And then my problem is that as far as the international conspiracy, whether it is China or the Western countries have got some kind of a major challenges, how come third world country is suddenly becoming a superpower, suddenly their prime minister is becoming a global leader, and so on and so forth. Of course, we can understand till that level that international competition or the Western countries are working against India. But my challenge is that the people, whether it is my friend in the panel from the BRS or the opposition parties, they are all just going and attacking based on a report. I think you have the right to ask. I believe that this is one of the most matured way of a government behavior is what we have seen in the last 2 weeks. The union government asked not interfering in the market, even in the remotest way, and making sure that the market works very freely, whether it is some companies, share market dips to whatever level, it doesn't matter. The regulator is only watching, not interfering in the market. That alone shows the quality of government, the quality of our stock market. I think that is the essence, what I have been able to learn from this last 2 weeks. On the other side, to the political part of it, Niranjan, is most important part is that look at the amount of infrastructure development through Adani, and Adani is invested in. And Adani, when Adani create a port, whether it is in Mundra or in Birmingham or in any other part in the country, whether, as Rajat said, that when they are generate green power for this country. So I think,
wrong with your network.
Don't you think that it will hamper the overall investment in the core sector, that is the infrastructure? I think one of the biggest political mistakes our opposition parties are making. Let the market, if there is an issue with a particular company, we are not Adani, and neither Adani is India. So I think we need to let the business to function as the way it should be. Let's not bring politics to it. And if we go back the history of the Adani group, we all know that anybody whomsoever has got a basic common sense, who can read and write, can understand. Adani is not something which is created from the last 8 years. In the last 90 onwards, from whether it is the Mundra port to the PVC business which they have started, it's all been given by both the Rajiv Gandhi government to Narasimha Rao government, and we all know that in then the finance minister and the former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, during that time is the one where they have fundamentally, a PVC making company then was given an opportunity to create the port in Mundra, and today they are asking the question, how come Adani has been given without having any experience of doing an airport to run, how you are given the job? So I think politics have got some kind of an importance because we are a large democracy. So anything and everything will have a politics, but then the politics basically just to create a panic, just to create wrong sentiments against the Indian, when the opposition parties start cribbing against the interest of the nation, that is where it is alarming.
Okay, just I wanted to take the question to Karthik, but I've lost his frame there. Karthik, can you hear me? Okay, I've just lost the network. But let me take this question, okay, and I'll give you the last word, Rajat. You know, this China angle can you discount the China angle? Yesterday we spoke about it, about what China stands to gain if Adani falls. You spoke about the strategic ports, strategic projects, and look at the timing of it. At a time when their market is going to the bull market, they're just reopening after the 3-year COVID cloud. They're going aggressively after exports and facing issues with imports as well. Many countries don't want to export their chips to China. So there's a lot happening globally. So does China stand to gain if Adani falls?
See, consider India as a nation, as a rising superpower. Who on earth, which country would want that to happen so smoothly? Everybody would want to ensure that there are some speed bumps here and there, but China has different way of dealing with things. We've seen it play out, the power tussle between China and India, the way it played out in Sri Lanka, right from when their vessel was getting parked in one of their ports to the Colombo port issue. You can carry on, and their China plus one strategy followed by the Europeans and all is ensuring that there is a bulk amount of manufacturing activities which will switch in the China plus one scenario. In that case, it's only Gujarat and Maharashtra and these states which are the manufacturing hubs of our country which will stand to gain. They want to puncture that narrative and they want to puncture that story. They want to create holes in India's formidable capital markets, and they want to. They would go to any extent to do that. So, who would have passed on certain pieces of information on the Adani group to sort of create this storm? One needs to look at those details, but nothing can be discounted in international politics. That's one thing that we need to keep in mind. Everything is in the realm of possibility. One can investigate and figure out if that is at play or not, without missing the larger picture that it is us Indians who have to stand by by our own institutions, not get led away by what Dow Jones is doing or what Rajat, Fitch is doing or
Rajat,
what S&P is doing.
Rajat, sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to get in the last word from PKD. I know you want to come in, but I was trying to get the other voice in the other side in, but I lost the line with Karthik. Karthik, I have exactly 30 seconds if you want to respond to what you've heard from both PKD and Rajat.
I kind of lost most of their opinion, but I understand where they were going with. See, Niranjan, in the garb of nationalism, we cannot cover up fraud. I can understand where my good friend PKD and Rajat are going with this, but Adani is not the only corporate giant in India. Let's assume that Hindenburg would have floated a report against the Tatas, against TCS, against the Birlas. Would we expect the similar reaction from the opposition? No. The opposition has been behind Adani's back from a long time, even before the Hindenburg report. The reason being, we allege that Adani Group and the bosses sitting on the top in Delhi are hand in glove with many issues. That is the reason. In the garb of nationalism, let's not support fraud. This is not good for the country.
Yeah, okay. Okay, PKD, last 10 seconds, PKD, you have to end after that.
Quickly, I think I know the time is out. The only question is that who gave the Vizhinjam port to Adani? Is it Narendra Modi? Who gave the power opportunity for in Rajasthan?
Telangana also he's got a project in Telangana.
Is it in Chhattisgarh? The mining rights have been given to Chhattisgarh. Is it by Narendra Modi? Is it Mamata Banerjee is inviting wholeheartedly? Is it done in the instruction of Narendra Modi? Definitely no. Even the the Maharashtra Adani government was there in the power just 6 months before in Maharashtra.
Yes.
Who Uddhav Thackeray was welcoming. Now Sharad Pawar was welcoming. Everybody wanted.
Yes. Have to end. Completely run out of time.
Now suddenly they all feel that no, Adani is a bad word.
That's a valid.
My challenge to all the opposition
That's a very valid
parties.
question, PKD.
If I can.
I'm out of time. Okay, 5 seconds. 5 seconds. Quick answer. 5 seconds. I'll end after that. I've run out of time. 5 seconds, jaldi.
Adani is backed by the Prime Minister. That is the reason there is no inquiry.
What are you saying? I just told you, Corporate Affairs Ministry is inquiring. SEBI is already looking at it. SEBI has issued a statement.
And had floating an inquiry.
RBI is also looking at it. I mean, anyway, let's see where the story goes.
Inquiry is open.
Let's see where the story goes. I think the opposition question, opposition and Adani is an interesting story, and how many states he's working with. He's working with Telangana also, if I'm not wrong. I saw some projects in Telangana there. But that's for another day. That's for another day. That's for another day, PKD. We'll have a bigger debate on that. PKD, Rajat and Karthik, thank you for joining us on the trending burning question. And that's it. Coming up next is The Nation Wants to Know special interview with Mahesh Jethmalani. Arnab is speaking to him. That's on the BBC question. Mahesh Jethmalani has been fronting this fight, asking questions of the BBC and their links, interests with China. That's coming up next.
क्यों जरूरत पड़ी देश को राष्ट्र राइफल्स जैसी फोर्स रेज करने? किसका आइडिया था? क्यों जरूरत पड़ी सर? There was a necessity to have a force. Our army it was considered is not enough in size. We must have another force. A new force was thought of, that's the Rashtra Rifle. These battalions were to be given a special task. I'm told that probably this is the biggest counterinsurgency force in the world.
You're famous for your dialogues. I'm sure everybody who's seen your films remember the dialogues that you've given us.
I was already established as a star in my way, my way. So Azad Saab told me, I want you in this film. And then he said, it is only a special appearance. You know, I was little bit of conscious of it. ये ना हो कि कल मैं आपकी पिक्चर में guest appearance करूँ, वो भी मुझे कहें तो guest appearance. He says, no, I don't want to know that. You're doing the picture. प्रेम नाम है मेरा, प्रेम चोपड़ा.
Friends, the recent suicide attack in Peshawar, inside a mosque, in the police lines, has set the tongues wagging. There are various conspiracy theories, and yet there is the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa police, the police of Peshawar, which has come out on the roads. They're saying that this terror act was not done by any terror organization. They say that this was done by one of our own.
क्यों जरूरत पड़ी देश को राष्ट्र राइफल्स जैसी फोर्स रेज करने? किसका आइडिया था? क्यों जरूरत पड़ी सर? There was a necessity to have a force. Our army it was considered is not enough in size. We must have another force. A new force was thought of, that's the Rashtra Rifle. These battalions were to be given a special task. I'm told that probably this is the biggest counterinsurgency force in the world.
You're famous for your dialogues. I'm sure everybody who's seen your films remember the dialogues that you've given us.
I was already established as a star in my way, my way. So Azad Saab told me, I want you in this film. And then he said, it is only a special appearance. You know, I was little bit of conscious of it. ये ना हो कि कल मैं आपकी पिक्चर में guest appearance करूँ, वो भी मुझे कहें तो guest appearance. He says, no, I don't want to know that. You're doing the picture. प्रेम नाम है मेरा, प्रेम चोपड़ा.
Assam government on a mission crackdown against child marriage, more than 2,000 arrested across the state. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister in an exclusive interview to Republic alleges larger global conspiracy at play against India.
While growing up, who did you look up to? Who was your idol?
Dalip Kumar.
And you were fortunate enough to work with him as well.
I was wanting to work with him. This was my dream to work with him. And I was very fortunate when I was offered Dastan, the first film with him. And I used to be sitting there and watching him. He was so good and a great actor, but he was a greater human being as well.
विक्टर फोर्स, डेल्टा फोर्स, यूनिफॉर्म फोर्स, इनके नाम के पीछे क्या है? You know, 6 months I went to Chief's office one day. The force headquarters have been sanctioned and we have to give the names. Think of the names today and tomorrow we want the name. I said, sir, जो वैली में है, call it Victor Force. कश्मीर में है, call it Kilo Force. He said, Alpha Bravo Charlie जानता है. मैं कहा, sir, this is all that I can think of the time that you have given me.
Friends, the recent suicide attack in Peshawar, inside a mosque, in the police lines, has set the tongues wagging. There are various conspiracy theories, and yet there is the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa police, the police of Peshawar, which has come out on the roads. They're saying that this terror act was not done by any terror organization. They say that this was done by one of our own.
While growing up, who did you look up to? Who was your idol?
Dilip Kumar.
And you were fortunate enough to work with him as well.
I was wanting to work with him. This was my dream to work with him.